Durden, I can see you have a thesis paper over there about things that you would change. So I'm just going to go ahead and say...
No, I just have one thing I would change.
Oh, go for it then.
The ending.
Okay, that's a loaded fucking question. Or a loaded statement here. For me...
I don't like how they did them cops.
That's not what you mean. That's real. That's definitely not what you mean. Only thing I would change, I think they could have done a better job explaining. To me, I think it had more so. You probably would agree with this. It probably had more so to do with the acting part of it. But when the bee bit him, if you didn't see the first movie, you would probably think, oh, it's just like Spider-Man. If he got bit, you're going to be the Candyman. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing: if Candyman can only appear when he's summoned, he's not like he doesn't have control to send these bees places and like bite that bitch, bite him, bite her. So we saw he was on Cabrini Green's ground. He got bit.
And he was specifically about to take a picture of the church that like Candyman is his headquarters.
Right. So unless there's an attack of drone bees outside, they didn't do a good enough job of explaining the lore. And if this was something they just wanted to leave up into interpretation, fine. But you got to give us I don't need you to spoon feed me, but it's some semblance. And if it is there, please reach out to us, Mr. Costa. We will. You're more than welcome to come on, and we would love to face our accusers and prosecutors. So that's the only thing I would change, because again, I would say this. Oh, I'm sorry, not the only thing. I hate any movie that, whether it's the writing or the acting or sometimes both, where they try to rush. It seems like they try to rush and explain everything. Oh, this is why I was doing it, because A was B and C, and you know I love some D. And E, F, G, oh, H, I, J, K. Like whoa, these are letters and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was dope. So I think that the pacing was good all the way up until that point, but I still don't know if it was the writing. It was the delivery on some. I'll just say the delivery. I'm not here to bash anybody.
It's hard to tell. Like maybe if it was delivered a little bit. Let's see in the review. I think we're in the review now.
Yeah, we are. We're in the shit.
Yes. It is a good movie. It's like Cassie said in our conversations. Like even people that don't like the movie can't argue about the fact that it's like well shot. It looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that.
100%.
But with the
cinematography was top notch. Mm-hmm. Top notch.
But I was left unsatisfied at the end of it for a couple of reasons. It's almost like they tried to do too much, then got to the ending and realized that it's not clear enough. We need to have somebody call Mr. Domingo, get him in here. And he's like standing on the stage, like literally giving a sermon that is an exposition of like, let me explain everything that's happening overly. And
this neighborhood got caught in the loop.
Like we just found out you were the fucking villain, really. So you don't get to split. No, villains take time. You know why I did this. They're like, okay, I didn't get that.
Yeah, but I'll get right back to that. But visually, it looks great. The direction and cinematography is awesome. The editing and pacing keeps things moving nicely. I was completely engaged the whole time. I really liked how they cut scenes together, and you're kind of getting moments at the same time. The mystery and allure of the film that was cultivated in the first two acts is totally demolished in the last 15 minutes when they try to over-explain everything and ultimately just made the whole movie too information heavy to be enjoyable. Because I'm sitting there, I'm trying to like put everything together that this dude's saying. Now I'm not enjoying the visuals. Right. And as I'm trying to put things together, shit is not adding up. Like he's giving me too much.
He's poking plot holes in you as every word he says.
No, this isn't making sense. So they did a great, there's so much that he was relying on to go right. Like, first of all, isn't what has already happened up until that point in the movie enough to carry on the legacy? Like, Correct. Why is he... Does there have to be a hook? Does it have to be the same jacket?
Or does it have to be a witness? There have been people murdered about it now. Like, it's there.
And you're going to trust that his girlfriend is going to do your bidding for you to carry on this thing. And you're going to trust that the cops show up and do exactly what they're supposed to do. But in
fairness, he wasn't crazy for that part because he had seen it before. He'd seen it twice. He had seen it. He'd been a part of it. So it was that's some smart writing right there. My problem with it was, like you just said,
but they never established his motives.
He said, now I have a witness. My point was, did you think she was just going to go back and lie and say, oh, it's Candyman? Like, no, it's some crazy motherfucker from the projects. It was him.
But what was William Burke's? Like that's what got to me is like,
what was his motive?
Yeah, why is this dude so adamant about?
Because the way the way they wanted it portrayed is, in my opinion, and from the things that I saw, is that he was all about, if you notice, he always talked about the cycle and gentrification. Remember, that was one of the, when he, first off, we were so shocked that he showed up at the beginning out of no fucking where, almost like a Tyler Durden thing, like he's there. You don't even know if he's truly there or not, but when he gets there, he was like, yeah, the old neighborhood, this, he's like, I'm the only one left, this, that, I'm trying to make it. It was a weak statement, but I mean, a weak reasoning why, but that was his thing. He didn't want them, he thought that because remember, the Candyman lore was out there, but he wanted it for Cabrini. He was trying to save the historical meaning behind Cabrini. So he's like, wait a minute, if they think this Candyman shit popping off again here, it's going to drive the value of Cabrini down and they won't fuck with it. Yeah. That was his thing there.
They didn't stick the landing, and then there's a whole scene at the end with the cops when they come in and shoot him. That just felt rushed, and he's laying in her lap, and they come in and shoot him in her lap,
and now he's on the ground.
Yeah, like so much of that didn't. It was like,
and then she goes all Pulp Fiction on us.
Yeah,
they're like checking for the bullets and stuff,
like,
and I'm like,
"You're not fooling me. I never for once thought that you were the one shot. What are you? This like,
you know why? Because again, like you say, the ending felt rushed, and I can't knock you on that because it was like, oh shit, we don't have the technical expertise to shoot this, so we just can't show it, and then we'll just show him on the ground. Nobody thought like, wait a minute, shouldn't he still be right in front of her?
The way I looked at it, it was like when we're doing a movie, it's like, oh man, fuck, so-and-so didn't show up. He was supposed to play the cop. Well, this guy was already in the movie. We'll just have to have his shadow come in real quick and say, get down.
Right.
Like they give you all, they're like, giving it to you, perfect pacing, the whole movie, setting everything up. And at the end, they just like blow the load. And
I just really wish they would have, like the Todd, give Todd at least 5 more minutes.
Yeah,
at the end, and let him come and kill Birch and be like, you think you motherfucker. Like maybe this time he didn't have to be summoned. He came for him. He was the first time he came for him because he was really fucking it up. Like, number one, bitch, I'm gonna be the only Candyman, and number two, you're trying. What are you? So maybe he came for that. So maybe that could have been new to the lore. But I agree with you. The ending could have been better there.
Yeah, that and like
keep going because I got something.
It just relied on so much that. Like my suspension of disbelief was blown at the end of the movie.
They did such a good job and just fumbled it at the end.
Yeah, it's like part. They decided this is what we want to happen at the end. This is the visual we see in our head. We want this is what it's all leading to. And then they got to the third act and they weren't anywhere near that
where they need to be. Yeah.
At the expense of the story, they just rush things to get to that point,
and that's why I believe most people came out confused because, like you say, they were like, "Well, it was cool, it was this, that, and the other," but they didn't get it.
Yeah, and then even when she's sitting in the back of the car and she says,
"That really pissed you off."
Candyman. The cop is like, "What? What are you doing? What's that?" How does he not know that he just said in the car, like, "Yeah, we've been looking for him for a while."
Like, and I'm almost certain this was, tell me if I'm wrong, this might have been a glitch. I'm gonna go back and watch it again. I think she says it 4 times and then the cop says it once. Oh, yeah. Like, so now we're bending the rules now? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
He shouldn't even be here yet.
Yeah.
Somebody has some more to say. So to me, that was like, well, what's going on with that? Do you remember that or am I wrong?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. She said it 4 times. He said it the 5th time for
Somebody needs to tell me about that.
The other thing that fucked me, like when the cops come in and they shoot him, he is like, obviously this is something that happens in reality. Like, right. I'm not going to sit here and try to say that's unbelievable that a cops was shooting an unarmed black man. But this particular unarmed black man was laying bleeding out at death's door in his girlfriend's arms. Cops are all about self-preservation. Are they really going to put themselves through, like, in the potential of, like, having PR trouble or reprimandations or anything like that? All they had to do was wait it out. He was dying already. Like, the fact that they came in and shot him,
because it's like, no, they couldn't just let him die because then they didn't have anything. They had to make a statement because they already had a story as soon as he got in the car. So she hit him with some training day shit. Los Angeles police officer was killed serving a high risk. Well, like, he already had the story ready when he got in the car. So I mean, I'm not justifying it. I agree with you. I think the sad part about this is that because they rushed that part trying to make all these things fit at the end, is that like you just said, you didn't get to see the beautiful thing that was happening. You didn't get to appreciate that Todd was out there fucking people up, because you're still trying to figure out, well, I know he's here now, but what happened is like that. I'm like, oh, that's where all the money went at. When he started flying with those fucking bees, that shit looked real. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's just the ending. And Anthony, not Anthony, Coleman Domingo's William Burke, when he starts going off in the church and he's doing that like I don't know what direction he received or what movie he thought he was in, but it didn't match up with anything that I had seen previously. Like, he's just so over the top. Like, I'm gonna be the baddest baddie ever. Right? Like,
and he calls the cops.
Yeah.
That
just almost blew it. I'll wrap it up with my last paragraph. If they would have done everything the same but left out the part about Anthony being necessary to revive the myth of Candyman and the overly constructed plot that plays out in the ending, this would have been a 4 or a 5 for me. Anthony being the center of the whole thing, it just should have been more cryptic, less like wordy and saying everything that's happening, exposition. It could have just been a cryptic thing about how you cannot escape destiny once your fate is sealed. So it draws an artist back to the roots of trauma that happened to him as a child as he peels back the layers. It has serious psychological effects on him. And because of his artwork, Candyman makes his way back into the thoughts of the community where he can do what he does. That's what they like. All of that explanation at the end and everything just wasn't. I didn't need to. I could have assumed that he was necessary in reviving the myth of Candyman. All of it didn't have to be some other dude's plot. William Burke wasn't necessary at all. Yeah, that character just could have been totally cut from the movie, and it just could have been Anthony's trying to navigate this, not really knowing what's going on. So we don't really know what's going on. Just this creepy shit is happening. This transformation is happening. His artwork's getting darker. And then the Candyman comes back through that, and that's how Anthony is necessary in carrying on the legacy. Like, it being some dude's mission to like construct a myth out of, or to bring a myth back to life and orchestrate and manipulate real life events in order to get people to talk about something and to bring back this mythical figure. I wished it would have went a different direction in the third act. But again, the whole movie was it was well shot. Most of the performances were fantastic. The pacing was great. They just dropped the ball in literally like the last 7 to 8 minutes. And not when he's killing the cops, that part was even badass. Like, you hear the theme song that was playing in the beginning. It comes back for a reprise. Like, it's almost like his superhero theme, and the bees swarming and the levitating, and like, it was a powerful climax. But that all still could have happened without all of the explaining and William Burke orchestrating everything. It just could have played out naturally without somebody manipulating it from the outside. So it would have been a 4 or 5 if they would have stuck the landing, but I give it a 3.5 because it was still a solid film, and I didn't feel like I wasted my time after watching it. And I will say they did a great job, like, connecting it to the first film organically, like not forcing too many connections to the first film, but really like taking that story and expanding on it, and then connecting back to it with Anthony being that baby that was saved at the end of the first one. That was all really cool. They did it was great 99% of the time.
Okay, there's a flip side to that coin.
Okay.
All right, now I'm going to dive directly into, well, first I'll start by this. The movie itself struck on a lot of great chords. Let's go ahead and call that for what it is. Number one, whenever a movie can transcend and reach cultural aspects and have people do things in relation to the films, whether us doing a show and talking about it and things of that nature, that's when art's starting to work. But then when art transforms back into, or should I say transcends back into life, it has us do things like we did today. Clearly, you have on a shirt. Could you tell them what your shirt says and what it means?
My shirt says George Junius Stinney Jr. I don't know. I don't know if he was the first, either the first or the only child to be executed, tried as an adult. Happened in the.
Don't give him any more.
Just Google him. Look him up. There we go.
Thank you. And that's what we do here at this show. And if you see, my shirt says, of course, Tulsa 1921. You can literally, that was called Black Wall Street. And let's just say, How does the saying go? I want to defend this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So yeah, you just want to Google that. And that's why I say this film did a great, I love any film, no matter what culture, whether it's Asian culture or French, it doesn't matter. Whatever a person's culture is, if they can bring me into their world and teach me stuff about them I do not know, I love that. And see, I've always been a fan of film. No matter what the genre was, or whether it's a white director, woman director, black director, I don't care about that. I'm an artist. The only problem I always had is that we were never given the opportunity to depict things intelligently, have wit, and do it our way without it being called black exploitation, or that's just a black film. Like, I hate that fucking term, because guess what? When I see a bad white film, I don't say it's oh, it's just a white film. That shit just sucks. Movies, they're either good or they're not. All right. Yeah. So with that being said, I challenge you to, I spoke to you about this in the garage earlier before we normally don't talk too much about it, but I brought it up. Coleman's character, William Burke, this is the little boy we meet at the beginning. Now imagine being 5, 6, 7 years old. You get freaked out by Sherman coming out of the wall. And then as he's coming out of the wall, you yell, but then you realize he's not really there to hurt you. So it's a little crazy. It's real crazy to see that. But he sees 30 cops after swarming every other room because they're doing shoddy police work. They rush past him and they kill this man off screen, but they kill him. So this child has just witnessed a black man be killed who was an innocent man. So that fucks with you as a child. Okay, so maybe you go to therapy for about 6, 7, 8 years. You're finally starting to get your shit together. Like, all right, that shit happened. Hey, toughen up. It shit happened to everybody. Mm-hmm. Then you're begging your sister to play a game. You should think you have enough. You shouldn't want to be playing any fucking games. But anyway, you beg your sister to play this game. Your sister's like, nah. And the same Lord that happened to you as a child that sent you thought you went to therapy. Now you're really fucked up in the head. Now your sister gets murdered. Not only your sister gets murdered, you actually see Candyman. He sees so he knows that Candyman is real. So this is what I tell you. I believe this motherfucker was in the room next to Arthur Fleck. And the reason why I tell you that, bro, I don't mean literally, but you know what I mean, in the crazy house. Because in his mind, you heard how you were saying it before. He's like, and he's made it up in his mind. There's not a Candyman, there's Candymen. And for every racial injustice, he has been brought from the brinks of hell to come strike a mighty fence against racism. This motherfucker is crazy is what I'm trying to tell you. So in my mind, there's another lesson going on here. We first meet him. Maybe he's on his meds. He's cool. He's calm. By the end, he's completely unraveled. He's like, yes, finally a witness. I've been telling these motherfuckers for years. This shit's been going. You know, if they would have told you he was a mental health patient, you wouldn't have thought twice about it. So I'm like, oh shit, I see what they're going for. Now, but you have to be careful when you go for that, because you can miss people. Everybody isn't going to do what I just did. So I think when they wrote it, it was brilliant. And somebody was probably like, hey man, Coleman, you gotta go crazy, man. They knew how to write it. They didn't know how to act to tell him what to do. So they were like, man, just go up there and they did a couple of takes. But I think writing wise, script wise, it was brilliant, because they had the groundwork for what they were doing. Like you say, they did connect Anthony being the baby survivor.
No, it wasn't brilliant writing wise. I'm telling you, because if you
poke the hole in, wow.
Because listen to how much explaining he does at the end. It's probably 3 to 4 pages of dialogue. You should not have at the end of your script.
They shouldn't
3 to 4 pages of dialogue to make sure the audience knows what's going on. We're at the end of the movie now. But I should know.
I contest he's not explaining what's going on. He's telling you. It's almost like walking down the street, you see a crazy person talking to himself. He was not that. It had nothing to do with the play. That had nothing to do with what was going on. I think they wrote he should just he has a mental breakdown right there. That's what I thought. I don't think that everything he's saying is not what they were truly saying. What's happening?
It has nothing to do with the plot.
Why is it in
right
there?
Back to my point.
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
His pointless. It sure as hell shouldn't be a part of the climax of the film.
Well, I'm telling you what happened. I'm saying that I believe they were almost at brilliance. They were right there at brilliance, and then they teetered. I just didn't want you to. I understand how disappointed you were in Coleman. And I understand why. I'm just simply saying that there was a mission, a mark there. They just missed it, but it was one of those marks that, hey, you realize if you miss this, it's going to go way left. It's not going to be like, oh man, that's damn near classic. Like, no, It was right there. It's still a good film, but at least it reached for the opportunity to be a classic, a true standalone classic, to where you can be like, man, Candyman and this Candyman, doesn't matter which one. It was almost classic. That's what I'm trying to say. It was that close. So, but I just want to explain.
I hope that they get a sequel, so they have the opportunity to kind of like put a bow on all that a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna put a bow on it for you
correct.
because this is really even gonna fuck your mind up even more. I didn't hear you mention this one time. What truly did happen was their spirits meshed. That is Anthony's voice and Todd's voice at the beginning. He's like, what if they such and so? He was like, they're the same person now. They have now meshed. So that baby we thought survived from the first film never fucking survived. Baby was gonna be fucked up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, that is him. And I thought it was so brilliant. Like, this is the first time Candyman was called for justice. Like, that shit maybe that's what it was. He needed her to
bat signal.
Right. Like, you're correct. She's like, I'll tell you whatever you want to know if you want to put that mirror on me. I bet he was like, what kind of freaky shit is this? And she was like, Candyman. Well, I'm sorry. She says the word 4 times. And then he says it the last time. And I was like, I was on some Friday. We just did something for Friday. I was like, oh, shit. So when he comes out, that hey, listen, he was like, when he came out and the way he killed them, and I was like, okay, normally, and remember, this is how it works. He's only supposed to come for the person who said it. This time he came in the name of racism, and this is all fault. He knew what had just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't just kill the person who said it, the one cop. That's the one he fucked up the most to keep the lore going. So their spirits did.
Why did he get out of the car? Why did he was home free?
He's
already in his escape vehicle. You
Right.
you just watched your partners load him up with lead and it did nothing. What are you getting out of the car pointing your gun for? Just get the fuck out of there. Put it in reverse and go.
Right. At least it didn't radio for backup. That would have been just as stupid. But I will say this, like, all in all, for what the film, again, the visuals, A+, writing, B+, acting wise, as far as all around cast gets a solid A- for all around cast, A-. As far as keeping it real goes, A+, plus. Also, to bring up the category of mental illness, A+, just not delivered the right way, but the category of it coming up, they did. I think that's most people missed that plot. It was because they now that's, I'm not gonna say they meant to write it this way, but my mind is that's how even more brilliant the writing was, is because of the fact that it shows that nobody cares in our neighborhood about pretty much black people being crazy. It just almost goes back to the Joker. They took me off my medicine. I told you he was riding blind with Arthur Fleck. So with all that being said, I gotta give this movie, I know we do by 0.5s, I can't do 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. I'm going to give it a 4.
A 4.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4, man.
That's I could agree with that. I still stick to my 3.5.
Coleman did it to you. Coleman brought this whole castle down for you.
I'd be more.
And in fairness, was it Coleman or what they told Coleman to do? I'm not saying Coleman being a horrible actor.
No.
I think he was put in an impossible position. Hey, Coleman, explain this whole movie in 2 minutes. Go.
Because he was great
Elevator
in the first
pitch.
half of the movie. It's just like when he went off the rails on him, like, this doesn't. You didn't earn this moment. This moment was not earned. So we gave it a 7.5 total. 3.75. That is the flying fucks that Candyman receives. I think that's fair. I would have been less angry if the whole movie sucked. It pissed me off so bad because it's like, oh my God. They got
you ready.
You were right there.
Yeah.
You were right there.
Right there.
Just a few little things like the.
And then the way she stabbed, I told she stabbed him for you, and that's for dirt, and he didn't like you.
What the hell is that about, man? He's dead.
Right, like that.
He's dead.
That's why they arrested you. They was probably gonna let you fucking go till they saw the 27 fucking stab wounds. They're like, this bitch did our work for us.
It was a crime of passion. She was harboring shit ever since her dad jumped out of the window.
He kind of almost looked like her dad a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
I'm tired of you crazy motherfuckers on this up my day.
Jesus,
stay away from me,
bitch.
Get all the way the fuck back. All right, real quick. This never happens, but after the episode, we were in the garage and we were talking, and this was just too good not to share. We talked a lot of shit about the ending of Candyman, and we're not just gonna say you shouldn't have done it this way. This is the way it should have been done.
Oh, yeah.
You set it up. Anthony and his girlfriend, you set up the altercation there. They're fighting. They're not on good terms. His girlfriend's brother, he's already suspicious of Anthony and is like right on the edge, just looking for any reason to do something to him. He's suspicious of him already. Burke was not needed. For whatever reason, towards the end, Anthony after his girlfriend leaves him, he feels this drawing to go to that church. He's like compelled to go there for some reason because he's being transformed into Candyman. So he ends up at the church. Maybe his girlfriend's following his GPS or something. She just because she's worried about him. She needs to find out what's happening. Her brother is like, fine, if you're gonna go, I'm going with you. Her brother and her, they go to the church. Her brother's waiting in the car. She goes inside. She sees what he's become. Maybe she's just terrified. She screams. Her brother doesn't even think to ask questions. Oh, what the fuck is he doing to my sister? He calls the cops. The cops show up. They arrest her. Whatever. She ends up in jail. She's sitting in jail. They're interrogating her, asking her questions. She looks into the mirror in the interrogation room
and says that name,
yes,
5 times.
He comes into that police station Terminator style and just takes out the whole police.
But before he says that, what does he say? Time to paint.
Yeah, time to paint. Yeah, that's the way it should have ended. All right, back to the show. All right, 3.75. Good job. I mean, Nia DaCosta did a great job directing. There's no lying about that. Yeah, I just think things got lost in the weeds at the end a little bit.
Well, I know what did get lost in the weeds, the lungs, because it was smoking in and out that movie. And hey, isn't that never mind.